All right, we're letting people in.
Welcome in, everybody.
And this is going to be exciting. All right, we got Reginald. That's it. Janelle. We got
Man with the
Jeannie,
plan.
John, Ilyana. Okay, you ready, guys? Tonight, I guess this is going to be like wrap up everything that we talked about from day one now to day 3. And tomorrow is going to nail it up in terms of like really taking action. I love that we have this incorporated within this boot camp, the things that we're going to be talking about today, because really this is, and to me personally as well, has been like a challenge for everyone. We have all the information that we need. It's time like we don't really the access to information is no longer the problem.
Yep.
It is now the how can I actually leverage and use that information to be able to benefit me, right? And most of the time we have everything here stored in, but it's not affecting anything in our situation and all that. It's because we're probably too afraid to execute on it, or we just don't know how, right? Everything that we've learned from elementary, high school, even college, and after that is we have it in our pockets. We just don't know how to leverage it. So I'm excited for today. Enough of me talking. I'm going to hand it over to Coach Christian to go ahead and get started. But since it's a little bit early, we'll have 3 more minutes to get to 8 p.m.
Absolutely. I'm super excited about this because what I'll do is I'll share with you guys kind of what I've learned through the coaching process. And Johnny talked about this before, when he talked about the importance of creating your network and getting the education. All of these things contribute to your success. Oftentimes we are willing to invest on ourselves, but not in ourselves. And so what I'm going to teach you today is how to invest in yourself, because, I like to look good. You don't see it right now, but most of the time I'm in a suit with bow tie and nice shoes, nice clothes. I like to look nice, but I realized that I was spending so much money on myself and not in myself. And so once I shifted that and I started applying the things that I was learning, I started seeing a lot of success in my business. So what I want to do is impart that with you guys. I want to leave that with you guys so that you guys can, take everything that you're learning and quickly implement it. So they will be able to have access to these slides, correct?
We're going to share it with them. Yes.
Okay. So what I'll do is I'll give you guys, slides, and I'll give you all of my notes so you can have my notes and stuff as well. And then any questions that you have, please feel free to ask. Anything that comes up, feel free to, jump in and just let me know if there's anything that I can answer for you.
All right.
And Faye, I'll just wait for you to let me know when it's go time.
Absolutely. We got 1 minute. We'll go ahead and the stream now so everybody can see and hop in. Thank you guys for being early today. And we just appreciate you so much. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started now. Let's go.
We live?
It's getting there. We just have to bear with Zoom and Facebook.
Yep, it's streaming. It just said it's streaming. All right. So welcome back, everybody. Today we are on day 4. Day 4. It's super exciting because what we've done is we've created something amazing for everybody, something that you can go in and just really just add value to yourself, to just create legacy for your family. And so what I wanted to do is I wanted to just add value to what Johnny has already built, right? We've talked about the real estate stuff. We talked about the mindset that you need to have. So today I want to share with you what it looks like to go from goal setting to goal achieving, right? Most people do goal setting, and that's great. But, recently I was asked, how do I get so much done? And what was interesting about the question is, it was two people that were really close to me. They're like, hey, I noticed that you get all of these things done, but how do you get it done? And I was like, it all starts with my intentions, right? So the night before, what I'll typically do is I will lay out just things that I'd like to get done. And then I either categorize them based on the like items that they are so that I can do them together, or on difficulty so that I can know if I want to do an easy task or a hard task. Now, most people will tell you do your hard task right away because that's when you have the most energy. What I'll tell you is do your hard task when you are your best, at your best. I am a morning person, so I will always do like an easy task and a hard task. Now, why would I tell you to do your hard task when you're at your best and I say I'm doing an easy task? Because there's a proven fact that if you accomplish one thing and check it off your list, you're more likely to continue doing those things because you want to feel that feeling again. Now, I'll tell you a cheat that you can do. You can go ahead and put something down like send off my first email, right? And what you want to do is have that email drafted up the night before, come to your computer that morning, and then send off that email and check it off your list. You're cheating, but what you just did is you told your mind I accomplished something. You set that up and you put it into motion. So now what I want to do is I want to kind of like break that down even further so you can see. So today what we're going to talk about is goal achieving. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. All right, so I'm going to go back one slide so you guys can see. Let me see. Go back here. There you go. All right, so today we're going to be talking about goal achieving mindset. And what we'll cover today is I'm going to talk to you about the 5 mistakes that people make when it comes to goal setting and why it's important to not have a goal setting mindset, but a goal achieving mindset, which is what I just shared with you. And then we're going to talk about how to shift from creating something that is unimaginable to creating a definitive action plan, and then how to create it effectively. So one of my favorite things to do is share quotes that have inspired me. And the Persuasion Field Marshal Helmuth von Moltke said, "No plan survives first contact with the enemy." And what that means is that every time that you go to do something, every time that you go to apply a principle, to implement something, inevitably what's going to happen is people will call it Murphy's Law. But really what it is that your plan is not going to survive the first contact with the enemy. And the enemy could be, hey, I'm going to buy my first property and the deal falls through because of financing. The deal falls through because of whatever that is, right? You can insert whatever. And what I want you to do is remember not to get discouraged, because every time you go through the reps, you build muscle memory. So when you go through the process and you're able to do that, what tends to happen is the next time that you do it, you avoid one of those things that didn't help you be successful. So what I want you to do is remember that your plan may not survive the first time that you go to do it. It may not be successful, and that's okay, because what you want to do is every time you win, you want to repeat that. Every time you aren't successful, you want to learn. So John Maxwell says, sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. And what I want you to do is learn from every experience. I want you to learn from every opportunity that's presented before you, because not everything that you do is going to be successful. But with this community, with this team, we're going to position you to be successful 99% of the time. Now, I was talking with Johnny, and one of the things that we shared is that he was asking, hey, when we talk about success and when we talk about, implementation, what has been the number that you have seen? And it was very interesting. So we both had a very similar number. So Johnny has about a 70% success rate when it comes to working with people. You know what that 30% has to do with not being successful? The people that do nothing, the people that don't implement, the people that don't, you can literally go back and look to see how far they've gone through the program, how far they've gone through the course, and what they've implemented, and they've not done the work. With me, it's about 60% success rate. In my industry, it's a little bit harder because a lot of the things that we're doing is we're giving you stuff and we want you to take it and take action. And so about 6 months into working with me, typically I see a big shift. I see a lot of people have success and a lot of people just drop. And it's because of the same exact thing that Johnny shared with me. You're not taking the action. You're not going through the process. So let's talk about those 5 mistakes. Those 5 mistakes are going to be critical. So the first thing is you lack inspiration. So you set this goal based on what you've already achieved. Most people will set a goal based on what they've accomplished already. Now, the only time I want you to look back at the things that you've accomplished is for encouragement and for motivation. When you look back at a goal and you look back at something that you've done, it's important that you look back and say, look at how far I've come. That is the barometer. That's the measuring stick that you want. You want to be able to say, you know what? Maybe I didn't get those 22 apartments, but I got 5. You didn't have 5 2 months ago. You didn't have 5 a year ago, whatever that is, right? That's what you want to measure. Now, when you're setting your goals, you don't want to set your goals based on what you just accomplished, because even though you want more, when you do that and you set yourself up and you don't set higher goals, what you're doing is you're allowing yourself to aim for something that you're going to accomplish, but not necessarily that fulfills you. So every goal that we have, let's say, for example, I set a goal to make 100,000 this year. And last year I made 90,000. So I said, I'm gonna push myself and I'm gonna make 100,000. In all honesty, it is way easier for me to say I am going to make 500,000 versus the 100,000. The reason being is because I'm not going to push myself, and I'm not going to become more creative, and I'm not going to go into a space that I'm going to become what I need to become to get to another level. When you set a goal that's achievable, that is attainable, that is just like right there, that's super easy to accomplish, what you do is you set the bar low, and then you're saying, I'm going to just increase 10%. And that's okay if you want to be average, but nobody on here is meant to be average and is going to be average. So when you set a goal, I want you to set that goal based on where you want to be. The first thing that we'll do is we'll say, here's where the mark is, right? So if you are not inspired, and this goes against every essence of your spiritual being, right? We've talked about different things, right? When you set a goal and you don't feel motivated or inspired, you tend to not follow through. I get fired up just knowing that one person would be on this live. I'm motivated just by one person being on here, because my thought process is, if I can help one person, if I can help them tap into their potential and exceed the expectations that they had for themselves, that's a win, and I've walked in my purpose for the day. However, when I have to go to meetings, I am not inspired. I am not motivated, and I don't want to be there. So I'm dragging my feet. I am not going there. And I'm like, ugh. And then my wife is like, but you have to go there. I was like, hey, listen, instead of us having these, 15, 16 meetings throughout the week, we need to condense it to 5 meetings. And I want all 5 meetings on the same day. And the reason being is because I want to be in a space where I'm always excited and inspired to achieve what I'm trying to do. And that's what I want for you. So as you think about that, the goal achiever's mindset is, I'm inspired to set these new and bold goals because I know that I can be, do, and have what's best for my life. There's a difference. When you set a goal that's small, you're like, I can achieve this. That's not motivating. But when you set a big, they call it a BHAG, a big, hairy, audacious goal. When you set that big goal, this is your first time venturing into the real estate space. I had told Johnny, hey, this is my first year coming into the real estate space. I have been coaching for about 15 years now. And the first time that I started working with Johnny, I was like, man, this is something that I really want to do, but it's not my strength. So it's something that I wanted to come into, but it's not my strength. And it was inspiring because I had already seen in my mind that there was another way that I can create a legacy for my family. If I was to give them my business, they would be like, okay, but I'm the face of the business. If I was to give them a legacy, something that makes money while they're sleeping, now they're excited, right? Because they don't have to put in the work. So let's talk about that. What is that big goal for you? What are you trying to accomplish? And I alluded to it, but when I shared with Johnny, I was like, hey, I want to have 100 doors before the end of the year. He's like, man, that's a big goal. And I was like, if it's not big and it's not getting me a little bit nervous, but a little bit excited, then I'm not getting after it, right? Because for me, what I do is, it's not important on the goal that we set, but who we become in the process of getting there. I'm going to repeat that. It's not important that you achieve the goal, but who you become in the process. And what we're trying to do is not only inspire transformation, but we want to infuse it into every part of your being. Les Brown said, most people fail in life not because they aim too high and miss, but it's because they aim too low and hit it. So I want you to think about that. Are you setting goals that are low and achievable? Are you setting something that you know that you can get done so you're not even pushing yourself? You know, I was talking to my son and he was sharing with me that his goal for this year was to average, 2 more points than last year. And I intentionally stopped listening to him. I started doing something else. And he's like, Dad, I was just talking to you. And I said, okay, so you want me to pay attention to what you just shared with me? And he goes, yeah, like I'm sharing my goals. And I said, what have I told you about goal achieving? And he said, I need to set big goals. I said, so why is it that you're just saying that you're going to average 2 more points than you average this year? When you went from your freshman year to your sophomore year in basketball, you increased by 10 points. Why are you now saying you're going to increase by 2 points? You're lowering the bar. You don't need to do that. What I want you to do is I want you to say, this year I'm going to be all state. This year I'm going to average, 25 points. Listen, even if you don't average 25 points, the fact that you've set that in your mind, when you average, let's say you were averaging 10 and now you go to 22, you didn't meet that 25, but you're averaging 12 more points than you did the year before. Stop setting low goals for yourself. Stop doing that, because I really want to see every single one of you not only hit your goals, but exceed your goals. I want you to be beyond excited that this investment was tenfold what you got on the back end. So let's talk about mistake number 2. Mistake number 2 is wasting time planning, right? You think that you have to do all of the things, all of the steps before you get started. Now, I'm not saying not to plan. What I'm saying is don't try to plan everything out. I was working with this young man, and he was sharing with me these goals that he had to launch his coaching business. And he was already thinking about step 27. And I said, okay, let's take a time out. I want you to focus on step 1. Who is the person that you're meant to serve? Who is the person that you're meant to work with? Let's take it to the real estate space. Who do you want to help? Is it somebody that's ready to retire? Is it somebody that's frustrated with their current tenants? Is it somebody that's frustrated with their management company? Who is it that you're trying to serve? Once you identify that, a lot of things get clearer. But if you skip step 1, step 27 looks impossible. It's unbearable because you didn't grow into step 27. You see, when you do step 1, step 2 and 3 become clearer. But the problem that we have is we want to have everything figured out before we get started. So most of you are probably on the fence saying, you know what? This is great information that Johnny shared, but I'm not there yet. Or this is great information that Johnny shared, but I need more time. Okay, great. So if not now, when? And let me ask you an even more important question. When I think about you, when I think about your situation, when I think about your family, I get this image of my head. An amazing wife. I'm just describing my family. 3 amazing children. And I think about, if not me, then who? If I don't show up for them, who will? Nobody on this call is going to do anything for my family unless I show up. So when you think about it, the steps that you're taking today, the actions that you're implementing this week, don't let this 5-day challenge be a waste for you, because you didn't take action and you didn't get inspired to leave a legacy for your family. Let's talk about goal achievement and the process, right? This process is a lawful process. Johnny has shared all of these things that you do, all of the things that you can do. But if you try to plan everything out, by the time you get, let's go with step 27 again. By the time you get to step 27, you know what's going to happen? You went through and you built out everything to step 27, and you're going to forget what you were supposed to do in step 1. Don't do it. That's creating a DOA. The police call this dead upon arrival or dead on arrival. I don't want your plan to fail because you decided that you were going to plan everything out. You were going to wait until you had everything figured out before you got started. That's not a successful entrepreneur. That's not a successful real estate owner. The point of goal setting and goal achieving is to experience something that you've never experienced before, to grow into an opportunity, right? The fundamental is that you want to create and be in the law of creation and the law of attraction. You had a purpose, you had a calling over your life that you wanted to do something more, which is why you were attracted to this process. That's the law of attraction. Now you have this thing that you feel inside, and you might say it's intuition. That's the law of creation starting to bubble up. It's you starting to create this plan for how you're going to create the amazing legacy that your family deserves, the process that you want to have for them. Now, how do we change that? For the goal achieving mindset, you focus on the future, not the past. What do I need to do? You put all of your energy on the things that you're focusing and creating so that you get the results that you desire. You know, if you guys aren't in Johnny's program, last week I talked about the focusing on the cause, not the effect. And one of the things that I shared is that most people say, I want to have 100 doors, but they're not thinking about what do I need to do to get those 100 doors. So now that you've set that goal for the 100 doors, now we need to reverse engineer. How do we get there? I need to take this course. I need to go through this process. I need to learn this, and I need to, potentially hire a VA. What do you need to do to get those 100 doors, right? Focus on your energy on the right things that you need to do. So when you achieve those results, when I achieve those results, you document the process, because it's so important that you document what you win and you learn from what you didn't accomplish, right? So let's continue to create the amazing results that we deserve, right? Paul Martinelli, one of my mentors, said, planning to do something is actually doing something. Planning to do something and actually doing something are two different things. I don't want you to plan. I want you to achieve. So as you write down your goals, as a matter of fact, I want every single one of you to please write down a goal right now that you're going to achieve. Write down a goal. I'm going to take maybe 5 seconds, and I'm going to let you just go ahead and do that. Go ahead and write that down. Write down a goal, because I'm going to call on you to share your goal with me. And I'm doing it myself. All right. Okay. That was a little bit longer than 5 seconds, probably 7, but that's okay. Nobody's taking time. All right. So now let's go to mistake number 3. You become attached to how. Everybody gets attached to how I'm going to get this done. How am I going to make this happen? I don't want you to think like that. Okay, I want you to just understand that sometimes if you get attached to the how, you're going to feel like there's so many things that I have to, the knowledge that I have to acquire to know the how, so that you can do it yourself, right? So to do it yourself, you have to wait because I need to go accomplish this. No, when you insist on knowing the how to do something before you get after it, you limit your goals based on your current knowledge. So if you say that I'm not going to do this because I don't know how, that is going to frustrate you, because you're going to try to figure out everything that you need to do to get it done. This coincides with the last thing that we just talked about, right? I don't want you to set a bar too low. I want you to go and get after the goal that you set for yourself. This is about you. And every time you look in the mirror, it's about you and you, not about anybody else, not looking to the left, not looking to the right. When you come into this community, you have an entire tribe that's supporting you, that's encouraging you, that wants to see you win. We're excited about what you are wanting to do, what you're going to do, and how you're going to do it. But trying to know all of the how is going to stop you from accomplishing what you want to do, right? I have been setting goals for a long time. And when I shifted my mindset to doing things differently, I started seeing way more results. I now can do what most people will do in a week in about a 4-hour block. And it's because I've become intentional about getting things done and chunking my time so that I can be super efficient and effective. Because you know what's important to me? I wanted to build a life, not a business. Let me share that with you. I wanted to build a life, not a business. So just because I'm an entrepreneur, just because I'm a business owner, just because I'm a coach, it doesn't mean I want to be coaching 24/7. I want to be able to build an abundant lifestyle for my family, but not at the expense of my family. So as you're building this out, I don't want you to say, I'm going to put in 50 hours a week to become the best real estate investor. You don't need to do all of that. It doesn't take all of that. What I'll tell you you need to do is you need to set intentional time aside. Set 25 to 45 minutes. That is it. And be intentional in those 45 minutes. If you are focused and you do that, and you give your business an hour every week of clear, intentional, and do not disturb, no social media, no messages, no nothing, no kids. Look, right now, I have a sign on my door and it says on air. My kids will not come in the office because they know I'm on air. Sometimes they'll come in like, oops, I didn't see the sign. I'm sorry, Dad. And I'm like, hey, listen, it's all good. You know, but they know that in this hour, this time that I have with you guys, it's important because what I'm doing is I'm creating a legacy for them. And because I was intentional about doing this hour, you know, a lot of people will say, if I give you an hour, you don't need no time to prepare. And that's very true. But if you want to be intentional about maximizing that hour, you will spend some time. For me, the goals that I set in an hour, even my wife, she would go, man, how are you getting so much done? And I was like, I am so intentional about what I'm doing. Before I go to bed at night, I write down everything that I'd like to accomplish the next day. Whether it's sending an email to a client, whether it's putting an offer in a house, whether it's, you know, sending mail out to, you know, tenant, whatever it is, right? I write all of those things down. And then I go, okay, how can I categorize these to be effective? How can I categorize these to be efficient? And then what I end up doing is I find 2 to 3 tasks that I can do simultaneously at the same time, which makes me more efficient. Once I'm done with that and I get that euphoric feeling, I get that exciting feeling about getting stuff done, then I go, okay, let me accomplish this task. You know, I had to build this out today, right? And so that's what happens. So I don't want you to be too attached to the outcome. Don't be too attached to the outcome. Focus on whether you fail or not. I want you to be willing to take that step forward because you don't have to have it all figured out. You can't experience anything new if you limit yourself to what you already know. That's like saying, you know, my wife and I, we intentionally set a date night, 1 date night every week. And if we can, we do 2 date nights. And what I'll do is if we go on a date or if we go on lunch, we're very intentional about it. Because not only did I say I wanted to build a life, not a business, but I need to do that in every aspect of my life. I need to invest in my marriage. I need to invest in my kids. I need to invest in my business, right? I need to invest in myself. So as I do that, we go to this restaurant, we go to eat. As we sit down, I'll go to order something. Now, every time I go to the restaurant, I typically try to order something new because I want to experience something new, right? I don't know what it's going to taste like. I don't know what it is, but I'm like, you know what? This sounds great today. I'm going to try this. My wife will order the same thing, and she's been ordering the same thing for 20 years. And then she's like, man, like sometimes I come and sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. I was like, because your expectation is what you had that great time, that one good time. Think about that. You had one good experience and now you're going to say everything should be like this. No, if you don't do something new, you can't get something new. So I want you to think differently. The goal achievers mindset is I have unlimited potential. And I absolutely believe that about every single one of you. Unlimited potential. You can do anything that you set your mind to. I want you to suspend any requirement of knowing how to do something and just get after it. I will be welcoming the experience to do the things that I want to do. When I go after a new goal, I'm not going to be attached to the outcome. You know, so if you said, man, I'm going after this 22 unit. So I sent Johnny a 22 unit today and I said, hey, don't tell me everything that I need to do. Tell me what I need to look at, right? And so that I can be very clear on what I need to present. So Johnny says, hey, here's what I want you to look at and present this to me. So what I did is I set the intention that I'm going to put an offer on this property. I'm going to do my due diligence. And I didn't know how I was going to get the financing, right? They want about $5 million for the 22 unit. And I think it averages out to about $100K a door is about what I looked at before. And the market that I'm in, we talked about this yesterday, is really expensive. It's averaging about $100K a door unless it's in a bad neighborhood. So as I looked at that, I said, okay, I'm not going to be worried whether I get this apartment or not, but what I learned in the process, who I become in the process. What if they say yes? You know, most people are so worried about whether they say no, but they're still equally worried if they say yes. If they say yes, I got to come up with $5 million. Listen, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Right? You jump on the call, you get in contact with Johnny, with Faye, with me, whoever. We will get you set up because we want to make sure that you're successful. We will try to pay you up with an investor. Whatever we need to do, we're going to make it happen. Right? Because your success is what we're getting after. You know, Dan Sullivan said, yes.
Oh, Coach Christian, I'm gonna interject on that real quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is like the most common scenario when I get on the call with REI Genius members. It's like, I joined the program like blindsided, and the very first thing is that the capital. All right, so no funds. How do I raise capital? How do I fund my business, my real estate, you know, acquisitions and everything? And this is just a very quick story for all of you guys that are
absolutely
on Facebook. I'm gonna share this with you. So I get on a call, and this guy, and he actually became a friend of mine. He said, you know what, Faye, I don't have the money, but I wanted to become a real estate investor. I said, well, okay, how many units are we targeting in the next 3, 6 months, you know, 1 year and everything, the goal setting. We're talking about that. And he said, probably 1 or 2 or probably 4, and so on. Long story short, a few months later, we ended up acquiring a 20-unit deal. All right, let me repeat that. He doesn't have the capital.
Wow.
Ended up acquiring a 20-unit deal. Okay, you want to ask like, how, Faye? How? Really? Is that even possible? Okay, let me walk you through a little bit on what happened. We pursued the seller to do actual seller financing. Okay, you know, that's talking about a deal structuring. In placing that offer, the seller was like, really, no, I'm not going to do it. I want cash, and so on. So it's a matter of how you present and position your offer to make it irresistible, right? But the very first thing is you have to believe on what you're trying to achieve in the process, okay? So the lady is wanting to get off of the headache of managing her property. And on the other side, our friend in REI Genius is that, yeah, I wanted to actually have that, but I don't know how. So from there, the seller financing part, and then the raising of capital in terms of like, you know, putting all together the deal, the rehab, and all of those different things that you have to do to be able to acquire the property. Is that the interesting part is the highest investor that we got on that deal is his plumber. And yeah, I'm gonna let Coach Christian talk more about that in terms of how this connections, community, you know, the guidance and everything is really gonna affect how you could change your life.
Yeah, and you know, I'm glad you shared that because, you know, sometimes I'm very leery about like sharing certain things. So when I got my first property in this community, it was so funny. I was looking at a property, and my boss, my previous boss, reaches out to me, and they're like, hey, I really love what you're doing. Do you know anybody in the investment space? Why, yes. I go, I am actually thinking about acquiring a property. And right now, what I'd like to do is I'd like to get a partner that would help me with the financing. Now, here's what I'd like to do. If you agree, or, you know, I explained to him the terms that I wanted, and he was like, I'll do it. So I literally was just telling him how much I wanted to have for the down payment, how much I was going to give them on their return. And he was like, cool. And then he said, when do you want to set the terms to get it back? And I said, well, because, and I said, I'm going to be completely transparent with you. This is my first deal, but I have a coach. I have somebody that's walking me through the process, and I absolutely love it. bought it at the end of the year, able to give him his money back. And it was nothing that I knew. We just ended up making it happen, right? And so don't be attached to the outcome. Enjoy the experience. This is something that I really struggle with, because what we do is we get this mindset that we feel that we have to keep accomplishing, and I have to keep doing, and I have to get the next goal. No. You got one apartment, right? You got one housing unit. You got one single family home. You got a mobile parking unit. Whatever that one thing is, celebrate it. Celebrate it, because you've got something that you didn't have before. And I'm going to tell you the same thing that I tell my kids and that I tell myself. You got 24 hours. You got 24 hours to celebrate, and you got 24 hours to be upset. And I don't even give you 24 hours to be upset. If I don't get a deal, it's like 2 hours and then let's move on. Let's like forget about it, right? Because what I want you to do is I want you to learn from that failure or that obstacle, and then say, how can I do it differently? You know, when I went into that first deal, I actually made probably one of the biggest mistakes. I actually started telling them all kinds of stuff that I was going to do, and I shouldn't have done that. So they increased their prices, right? So don't do that. Just keep that to yourself. So be intentional about that. So mistake number 4, you don't understand who you are and whose you are. Now, I'm not going to get too spiritual with you, but I need you to understand you were created for greatness. You were created for abundance. Nobody here was created to be a lender. To be a borrower. Every single one of you was created to be a lender, to be able to finance deals and do the things that the goal would be in 2 to 5 years, you can be financing deals because of how far you've come. But you're not going to get there if you don't believe in yourself. Now, I'll tell you one of the things that I tell everybody that I work with. You can be successful if nobody believes in you. But you can't be successful if you don't believe in yourself. Now, just because I want you to know that you have at least one person on your team, I'm going to give you my borrowed belief. I believe in you until you believe in you. But I need you to believe. That's what Faye just talked about. That's what this is all about. You got to believe. You got to understand it. This is not about the deal that Johnny made. It's not about the deal that Christian made. It's about the deal that you're about to make. This competition is about you and you. This success is about you. You know, we one of the things that I share is that, you know, if you've ever seen the dog races or horse races, they put these blinders on them. And the reason for that is because when a horse or a dog are on a track and they look to their left or their right, their body goes in that direction. And so what they do is they put these blinders on to keep them looking straight ahead to chase the rabbit or to go after the goal based on what the jockey's telling them. I want you to put the blinders on. Stop looking to the left. Stop looking to the right, because you are worthy of the goal that you've set for yourself. You are more than worthy, and you are built for a time like this. There's no requirement to what you need to accomplish. Don't place too much value on what you're trying to accomplish, that you devalue yourself. Like, oh, if I don't get this 20 unit, I suck. No. You tried something new. What did you learn? I learned that I probably shouldn't have done this. Hey, Faye, you know, was this a good idea? Yeah, okay, let's adjust that. Let's make it better the next time. And let's make sure that you get that next deal. All right, whether you're about, if you think that you're not worthy of a goal, you're selling yourself short. You are more than enough. And I want you to know that. I want you to understand that. Because when you have that goal achiever mindset, instead of trying to make this to-do list and do all of this stuff and trading your life, right? I want you to create a life, not a business. Don't trade your life. Only do the things that bring excitement to you. So if you know that, you know, you're going to a 9 to 5, that this 9 to 5 is frustrating you. This is where I was at, right? About 7-ish to 8 years ago, I hit this wall where I was so frustrated with what was going on around me that I would not want to go to work. And I told myself the moment that I don't want to go to work, I need to start building my exit strategy, which was kind of late. But I started building everything up. I was doing coaching on the side, and I said, I'm going to go full in. I'm going to go all in. And what ended up happening is I started to actually believe, even though I was telling people I'm not immune to this, I was struggling because here is what I was hearing. My mom, every day, do you think that that's a successful business? Do you think that you can make money coaching? I said, I just bought you a house. I just paid off her house. And she's asking me if I can do this as a business. Every day, it's the same question. Hey, do you think that you can make money? How are clients? I'm like, Mom, what are you worried about?
Right.
What are we talking about here? You don't have a worry in the world. I recently just told her, I said, listen, I know that you love your house. We're in the process of actually renovating it right now. And I told her, here's what I want you to do. We're going to renovate it. We're going to make it really nice. And I know you picked everything that you wanted in the house because you loved it. But I want to retire you. So I want you to move out here and I want you to be with us. One, because I want you to be happy. I want you to be around family. She's by herself in Philly and she's managing 3 of our properties. I was like, I don't want you doing that. Let's get a management company to do that. I don't want you stressed out. Dealing with, contractors. No, I don't want you doing that. You deserve to be treated well. And I want you to have that. So come out here. But she keeps telling me, do you think that you're going to make money? I'm like, why are we still having this conversation? Like, are we really having this conversation? Don't give people the energy that they don't deserve. Because there's 2 things that are happening right now. Everybody that's around you are doing one of 2 things. One, they're probably not believing what you're going to do or what you're about to do. And so they're going to watch so closely that they're trying to see whether you're going to fail or you're going to win. Prove them right. You're going to win. Prove them right. You're going to win. Okay? Because people's opinion of you is none of your business. I'm going to say that one more time. People's opinion of you is none of your business. The last time that somebody's opinion of you paid your bills, I'll wait for you to tell me. Anybody? No? Okay. All right. So when you go out there, the second thing that's going to happen is those same haters that were looking to see you fail, when you win, are going to say, I know you could do it. And I want you to say, no, you did, but I did it anyhow.
Yeah.
You didn't believe, but I did. And my kids, it's so funny. Like sometimes, things will happen and, we'll be talking and they're like, God did. And I was like, yeah, God did. Right. But you did because you believed, right? You believed what was going to happen for you. Henry Ford once said that it's not about whether you are worth the goal, but whether the goal is worthy of you, right? You need to understand that these goals that you're setting for yourself, are they truly inspiring you, motivating you, and driving you? If you were to get, Johnny helped me because I was so focused on doing single family and I didn't realize that multifamily was an option or possible, right? And I was trying to do it the hard way, right? We have four single families and I'm like, when I was managing myself, frustrated. I mean, so there's so many things that you can do better. Just know that if you go to set a goal, if it's not motivating you and if it's not making your life better, once you accomplish it, then it's probably not worthy of your time. Okay, let's go to mistake number 5. You don't understand the purpose of your goal. Some people set goals just to set goals. Don't do that. You think that setting a goal is about the getting. Absolutely not. Your goal has nothing to do with you getting it, which is why I tell you guys, today was not really about goal setting, but it's about goal achieving. And in order to shift your mindset, you need to stop saying, I'm going to set this goal because it's cool. Like I want, why is it that you want 100 doors? Right? Right now, I know the number that I want to be at to retire mom, to make sure that my kids don't have nothing to worry about, and to make sure that I am not, when I go to the store and my kids or my wife pick something up, looking at the price. I don't want to have to look at the price. So my goal has been to be in a position where I can afford what I want and have what I need. Not try to afford what I need, right? I want to afford what I want and have what I need. That's what I want for you. So I want you to think about becoming. This goal setting, it's not about mind over matter. It's more about mind into matter, right? What do you need to do? Where do you need to set your focus? Where do you need to set your intentions? It is critical that we shift this mindset. The goal achiever mindset says, I will become the person that can achieve bigger goals. Right now, you are saying this to yourself. I can do this. Constantly building up the awareness, getting the resources. Everything that you need is right here in this community. My potential is unlimited. As you think into this mind into matter, you're going to realize that it's not about thinking. It's about becoming. Now, you know, Henry David Thoreau said, what you get by achieving a goal is not as important as what you become by achieving a goal. You know, every single one of you is going to become like, you're going to become a legend to your kids. You're going to become like this persona. And what I want you to think about is, before we go into this next phase of today's, training, I want you to think about like some of the most successful people, right? So you think about people like Cassius Clay, you know, they were known as AKA Muhammad Ali. You think about Kobe Bryant, the Black Mamba. You think about Sean Carter, Jay-Z. What do those people have in common? And it's not that they had money. Every single one of them took on a persona of who they wanted to become. They identified 3 to 4 habits that these people did. I want to be known as the Black Mamba, that when I go on the court, I strike, I'm lethal. I, crush my competition. Before I came onto this live, I was pumping myself up and saying, you are no longer Christian Martinez. You are Coach Chris. That's who I embody anytime I want to show up a certain way. When I go, anywhere, if I want to show up differently, I embody Coach Chris. Coach Chris is confident, he's inspiring, and he's empowering. That's who I am. But I become that every time I tap into my potential. So what I want you to do is I want you to identify 3 things that are going to identify you as an individual when you become the person that you're meant to be. So write down those 3 things right now. What are those 3 things? Inspiring, encouraging, confident, whatever that is. And then I want you to find a nickname. I was working with a client today and it was so funny. I asked them like 7 questions and they were like, no, that doesn't match. And they're like, oh, my favorite color is purple and I love kangaroos. I was like, you're going to call yourself the purple kangaroo and it's going to stick, right? And so he was like, what's crazy is he started, like, I should show you guys. Look, I'm going to try to show you guys, like, if you think I'm kidding, but he was so proud of it. He sent me this and it's his purple kangaroo.
Oh, that's cute.
He put the purple kangaroo on his shirt. He said, hey, I'm going to have a logo. And I said, listen, every time you go on the golf course, every time you go into that boxing ring, every time you step into a place that you want to show up differently, purple kangaroo. I am known as the purple kangaroo. Now, you might want to change it, right? Because you feel like that's not like really hard. But think about it. Like before Jay-Z made Jay-Z cool, you would have been like, what's a J and a Z, right? Like who says that? So you make it what it is. You determine how powerful it is. But I want you to embody that. I want you to become that. So remember, identify 3 characteristics and then find out a cool way to kind of identify who that is. I did this with my wife recently and it was so funny. She said, I am going to be Fierce Simone. I was like, you're not even named Simone. She was like, but that's who I become, right? And so what she did was she was describing that she likes to be confident. She wants to be, serene, and she wants to be fierce. But she loves the characteristics of one of her favorite athletes, Simone Biles. So what she did was she put it together. So that's what I want for you. I want you to find it. Nobody needs to know what it is, but that's going to become who you are. And it's going to become like, it's like taking off the hat. Like right now, I'm Christian, Coach Chris. Right? it just dominate, right? It's time to dominate, right? So that's what I want for you. Now, we're going to go over what Johnny covered yesterday. So he talked about defining these goals for your investment, right? What are your investment goals? I hope you wrote these down. These are the 10 steps to your investment checklist. Then he talked about accessing your financial situation, right? Really being clear and honest with yourself. If you come to Faye and you say, I have no money, but I want to make this deal, we're going to help you figure it out, right? She just shared that story. But if you come in and you're like, I got 70,000 and you don't got 70,000, you're setting yourself up for failure. Be completely honest, be transparent, assess your situation. What can you do? What we don't want to do is set you up for failure. But what we want to do is strategically position you to thrive and accelerate your success. Educate yourself. That's what you're doing today. Research the markets. Make sure that you understand the markets and the property. I know that in my market right now, it's super expensive. So I'm looking at 2 markets currently because I have property in 3, but I'm trying to look at the markets to see which one I can do more so that I can actually leverage that to buy in a higher market. Set your investment criteria. What is your buy box? What is it that you're looking for so that if Faye sees it, if Donald sees it, if Johnny sees it, if I see it, I can say, hey, this is not for me, but this is for you. This is not for, John, but it's for Chris. Like, who is this for? Like, it might not be my deal, but it might be yours. But if I don't know what your buy box is and you don't share that with me, I can't help you. I can't serve you. Know that, be that, understand that, control it, right? Build your network. That's what we're doing here. That's what we're creating for you. Real estate meetings, Johnny talked about doing 1 a month. Don't try to go over that because you're going to now spend a lot of time going to networking meetings. When I first started my business, I was going to 1 meeting a week, 2 meetings a week. And my wife was like, we're wasting a lot of time. I was like, but we got to network. And she was so right. I was doing all of this networking, but none of those people were bringing in my ideal client. So go to the networking so that you can understand and build some relationships, but don't spend too much time that you're not building yourself and your business. Conduct your due diligence, making sure before you buy a property, before you do your stuff, bring it to the team, bring it to Faye, bring it to Johnny. Let them help you see if there's anything that you're missing. There's 2 deals that I didn't do because I brought them to Johnny and he showed me something that I miscalculated and that I did wrong. And had I not done that, I would have set myself up for failure. There was one property that I was looking at, and although the numbers suggested that it would have been at 9 million, the property was actually worth 4 million. That's half of what I was going to pay for it. Half. And it was because they were projecting the upgrades that they were going to make and the rent they could have charged, not what they were currently charging. So for me, I was thinking, man, I got this sweet deal. I'm excited. I show it to Johnny. And he's like, time out, time out. Look at these numbers, and here is what we did. So we highlighted, and then I was like, I went back, I asked a few questions, and then the realtor, what ended up happening is, or not the realtor, the agent, when I contacted them, I was like, hey, blah, 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 blah. He's like, well, somebody did offer 8.5, and I told him to take the deal. I said, well, you're trying to really hook them up because they're not where they need to be to sell it for 8. And here's why. And I explained to him, he's like, man, you know what you're talking about. And I was thinking, no, Johnny knows, but I just got it from Johnny, so I'm going to share it with you. So then he said, listen, if this deal doesn't work, I got 2 more deals. So just because I went through the process, now I have somebody that has more deals that I can work with that are off-market deals. But that wouldn't have happened if I wouldn't have took the step to reach out. Just reaching out. I didn't make the deal, but I reached out. Have you reached out this week? Are you going to reach out next week? Because that person could have another deal for you that's even better and sweeter. Just do what you're supposed to do. Do your due diligence. Secure multiple financing options, whether this is a friend that has the investing capital, whether it's a bank that will partner with you because they've seen you do deals before. Whatever it is, get you some financing options so that your deals don't fall through. That's the last thing that you want. You don't want to be known as somebody that's a flaker or that isn't able to say what they said they were going to do. Make sure that you negotiate and close those deals. Make sure that you understand this process. We were talking about this with Johnny today. Like, hey, when I go through this stage, this is what I need to say. This is how I need to say it. So I make sure I secure that deal and lock it up. And lastly, manage and monitor your investments. This was something that I didn't do well. I had somebody that was actually taking advantage of me when I did my first deal. This is before I knew anything about investing. And I had bought the property, and then we moved, and then I rented it out, and then I basically just turned it into an investment property. And what I was doing is I was managing the property, and I have a friend of mine basically monitoring and taking care of it, right? Well, every time something would break, they would share with me that it broke, but they would share with me that the price was higher than what it was. So I was getting ripped off, and I didn't know, right? And then I found out through a friend, hey, we have these management companies that will really help you, and all they're going to do is charge 5 to 10%. I was like, 5 to 10%. I did the numbers. I was like, man, I'm paying this guy more than that. Let me check. I had a managed company come in. They did a better job, and I was getting way more communication than I was from my friend. And then when some stuff broke and I got the prices, I was like, has this always been like this? Or did they reduce their prices or doing military discount? Like, what's going on? Like, why is the price cheaper now? And it was like, oh, no, this is what it's been for a while. I was like, really? So I reached out to him. I talked to him, and he didn't want to acknowledge it, but I found out what it was. So now that we have this and we got this set, let's talk about your goal and goal achieving. So before you set another goal, I want you to ask yourself, what would I love to have? What would I love to have? Who do I want to be? What do I want to experience? And what do I want to give? For me, I know that it's important that I give back because of what I didn't have. From the time that I joined the military to the time that I retired, I was sending my mom money on a monthly basis, no questions asked. I never saw it, never came to my paycheck. I just set it up, and I'd set it and forget it. And my mom has been looking at that, and what she would do is every couple of years, all the money that I was sending her, it wasn't like she was spending it. She was like, hey, I have this money set aside. Do you want to, buy another place? Hey, I have this money set aside. Do the kids need anything? Talk about my kids. She was trying to buy stuff for my kids. So she was basically reinvesting it in us and in the family, but not everybody's going to do that. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to be able to be in a position to give. And that's not just to her, but if it's a charity that I like, I want to be able to give. So what is it that you want to do? So what would you love to do? Now, if it doesn't light you up, if it doesn't excite you, maybe shift it a little bit, change it a little bit. This is how you will start to tap into your full potential. I really want you to walk in your purpose, but I want you to operate at a higher frequency. If you've ever bought a car and all of a sudden you're like, man, I never saw that car before, and all of a sudden I see this car everywhere. That happened every time I bought a car. The first time I bought a Honda, my first car, I was like, I ain't never seen a Honda anywhere. So then I went and painted it a color that I didn't think nobody had, started seeing that everywhere. I was like, come on, man, like everything that I see. But that's because I'm on a different vibration. I'm on a different frequency. I'm seeing things that I didn't see before. So as you start to grow and you start to go into your full potential, you're going to start to see things differently. You're going to see the numbers better. You're going to get clearer. You're going to get better at the financing options. You're going to get so good at doing this that when you do it, people are going to they're going to say, can you help me? Can you show me? And then you're going to say, why, yes, I can. Let me help you. Let me coach you. Now you can build something else, right? You can have recurring revenue. So if what you create in your life becomes a result of what you put the energy and vibration into, then practice the highest vibration, which is love, which is why I asked you, what would you love? What would you love? Practice that, live it, embody it. So what is an action plan? This is just a definition. We don't have to go over it, but an action plan is an effective action plan works to managing the plans for you, your life, your business. It basically gives you directions. In the military, they call them SOPs, right? Standard operating procedure. Yep. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to understand who needs a plan. Well, an action plan is for anybody that wants a step-by-step process. So if you want to do strategic planning, if you want to, think about what you're going to do in the next 3 to 5 years and work towards those goals, great. So you can do a business action plan. You can do a marketing action plan. You can do a corrective action plan. How do you fix stuff? You can do a sales action plan. You can do a project action plan, a personal action plan, personal development. Now, what I will encourage you to do is make sure that you set the intention to personally grow for this year. How are you going to grow? Not only are you taking this course, but how are you going to continually grow in this area that you started to invest in? How are you going to continue to develop yourself in this area, right? how are you going to get better than you were today, than you were yesterday? Because just taking in this content isn't going to work just here, right? This is a continuous process. And what we want you to understand is that as you continue to invest in yourself, you're going to see so much more opportunities open up for you. Now, I'm going to break down the 6 steps to an action plan so that you can have this just nailed down and be extremely successful. The first thing is setting the SMART goals. So Johnny's hit this, and I want you to just know being specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. Now, there's 2 things that I want you to think about that I'm going to share with you that are completely different when it comes to setting SMART goals. The A and the R. I don't want you to think about a goal that is achievable right now. I want you to think about a goal that you're trying to achieve, but you don't have the frequency right now. You don't have the capability to do it right now. That's what I want you to think about. Can you right now purchase a 20 unit, 100 unit, whatever that unit is for you? And if the answer is no, then set the intention. I want to buy a 20 unit by the end of the second quarter. So that gives you 3 months, right? Will you accomplish that? Maybe, maybe not. But I promise you, when you set that intention and you start working towards that goal, your mind is going to do things that you've never thought was possible. You're going to start to get creative. You're going to start to find ways to kind of do things differently. You're going to start to look at things differently. And you're going to say, you know what? I can make this 20 unit deal happen. And then when you go to make that 20 unit deal, you're going to say, you know what? I didn't hit it in the second quarter, but at the very beginning of the third quarter, I made it. And you're going to say one of 2 things. You're going to be like, man, it sucks. It took me 6 weeks instead of 5 weeks to hit my goal. I'm like, seriously? Dude, you hit your goal, right? Or you're going to be like, woohoo, I hit my goal. Let me set another bigger one, right? That's what I want. Either way, it's a win. I'll share with you, when I was young, I I hated door-to-door salesmen. And then I ended up doing it myself. I was selling vacuums and lawnmowers, right? And I would go door to door trying to sell a vacuum. And one of my mentors at the time, he said, hey, here's what I want you to do, Chris. I want you to go out and I want you to get 10 no's, right? And then it's between you, Tex, and Brian. So it was 3 of us. And we all set out to get 10 no's. I come back. I'm excited. It was about like 2 hours in. And I was like, hey, I'm the first one. I'm like, oh, I'm the last one here. And he goes, hey, Chris, how many no's did you get? I was like, I finally got 10 no's, but it took me so long. I got 5 yeses. And he goes, so you made more money getting the 5 yeses, trying to get to the no, and you're mad. And I was like, what? I just sold 5. But it was because I set the goal to try to get 10 no's. I was so focused on the no's that I didn't realize how many yeses that I got. Two would have got me the commission. It was like he was going to give us $100 whoever got the first no, or the first of 10 no's. So selling 2 vacuums, I made the 100. Selling the 5, I ended up getting 250. So I made more getting those and spending longer to get to my no's. But the point of the matter is what happened along the way. It's not that I got to 10 no's. That's irrelevant, right? Now, when we talk about realistic, if you set a goal that's realistic and you set it for just now, for what you can do right now, you're going to feel yourself getting stuck. So I want you to set that goal with the reality that you want, the reality that you're creating, the abundance that you're going to go into. So attainable in the future, realistic for who you're becoming. Okay? That's how you set those SMART goals, because we're going to crush it in this quarter and we're going to do everything that we set out to do. But you need to be honest with your goals. You need to be transparent with what you're at, and how you're going to do it is not your business. We'll help you with that. Okay. Step 2, identify the task, right? So this is not step 2, but well, yeah, this is step 2, identify the task. So let's say, for example, you want to do a charity. You want to host a 5K charity and you want to run you want to raise $15,000 for the local food bank because you have a good heart and you want to help people. So what's the first task that you need to do? You need to find a location, right? I need to find out where I'm going to have this 5K. Then I'm going to set the date for the event. You need to pretend like you're starting in a movie. Have you ever seen a movie premiere? Do they show you the whole movie? No. They show you the date. Hey, come in this summer, right? They'll say this summer. And then after that, they'll show you 2 little highlights. That's all you got to do. hey, I found the location, videotape the location. We're going to have this amazing event at this location on July 31st. Look to see you there. I don't know how I'm going to make it happen, but then you will find the volunteers that you need to make it happen. You determine the responsibilities, what they need to do. You prepare the market material. Now you start promoting it because now you set the date, you have the people, you're going to get after it. Then you secure sponsors. Maybe you get 2 to 3 people that love your vision. Well, let's bring it home. Let's bring it closer to buying your first multifamily unit by June. What do you need to do that? Well, first, you've signed up for this 5-day challenge. Excellent. Perfect. What's the next step? Hey, wake up 1 hour early every day and implement what you've been learning. Okay. Next, set aside 45 minutes to develop yourself. Am I continuing to invest in myself? Am I becoming better? Am I learning the stuff? Am I continuing to do the things that I need to do to get better? Then spend 25 minutes implementing what you learned. Complete the course, attend networking events. You need to make sure that you're doing this because you might find your investor, you might find a contracting partner, you might find a realtor, you might find somebody that you can work with that can get you deals, and then purchase your first unit. Oh, by the way, don't forget that you want to set aside that 25 minutes. I think I set that up wrong. To learn about real estate, right? So these numbers aren't set in stone, but what it's telling you is to be intentional about what you're doing and spend that time doing that. One of the biggest things that people do is they say, I want to do this for my family. And then when they're with their family, they're thinking about their business. When they're in their business, they're thinking about their family, what they're missing out. And then when they're doing other things, they're confused because they're thinking about family and business, right? I want you to be 100% present in the present. So when you work on something, be present in that task, all in on that task. I promise you, you don't need to spend 6, 10, 12 hours. You spend 45 minutes every day on your business. At the end of the week, that was 7 hours that you weren't putting in before. Think about that. Now, what is required of me? You need to remember that whenever you go to do this, when you set an action plan, there's a few questions that I want you to ask. You always want to allocate the resources, but you need to ask, what's required of me? What is the things that I have to do? Not everything in your business do you have to do, right? Johnny didn't have to do this teaching today. He outsourced that to me. He's like, hey, I want you to do this. Do you have time? Can you do it? Yeah, done. Right? That gives him time to be with his family. That gives him time to do things that he needs to do. But if you think you have to do everything, you're going to run yourself into the ground, right? The next thing, what gives you the greatest return? What actions, what things can you do that will give you the greatest return on what you're currently working on? What is the most rewarding? What lights you up? What lights your heart on fire? What gives you that excitement? What makes you happy? What do you need to, who do you need to involve, right? Who do you need to bring alongside you? As soon as you start building these goals, as soon as you start building these things, you're going to find out, I might need an investor. I might need a strategic thinking partner. I might need somebody to help me with the financing. Again, come into the community. These individuals have been there, done that, and want to see you win. I have been a part of a lot of communities, and there's 2 communities that I've been so excited to be a part of. This one, and then the community that I've created. And the reason why I like to be in my community, and I'm not trying to pump myself up, but it's because it's all about adding value and making sure people are feeling valued every step along the way. Like, we want to see you win. That's what I love about Johnny. He wants to see you win. And then how quickly can you start? These are the things that you need to know when it comes to setting up the resources that you need. Now let's talk about step 4, prioritizing your task. When you're clear on your priorities, you know what you need to work on. First, you know what you need to reschedule. And also, when you have these priorities and they're clear and you put them somewhere, everybody knows what to do. You know how I know this is true? My wife would get frustrated because in her mind, she felt like the kids knew that they needed to do the dishes. The kids knew that they needed to take out the trash. The kids knew that they needed to clean their room. I knew that when I came home that I needed to, do this. And she had all of these great things in her head that made it easy for the family to help and make it easy so that she didn't have to do everything. But she never wrote it down. She never prioritized it and said, these are the things that I want to get done in a day. To this day, I still tell her, please put your task on the refrigerator somewhere for somebody to see. Because if I come home and if I have time, I go to the first thing on that board and I go, let me help her with that. She's like, I need to do the laundry. I need to cook. I need to do this. I need to. If you don't prioritize these tasks, you're going to end up every day in bed asking, where did the day go? I don't want that for you. No action plan is when no action plan is set in stone, you setting yourself up for failure. That's the best way to have somebody else prioritize your life. Listen, if you don't control your calendar, somebody else will. Whether that's your kids with sports, whether that's your wife with something, whether that's your husband, whether that's your boss, if you don't set the intentions for the things that you need to do, I promise you, if you didn't put an appointment on your calendar that you need to go to a medical appointment, somebody else will put an appointment in that slot because they didn't know you had a medical appointment. Oh, guess what? You got to teach. You got to do this thing. If Johnny wouldn't have set the intention that he was going to be do this thing, he would have had to teach this, and then he would have been stuck because he didn't have the opportunity to teach because he's traveling. I need you to prioritize your task. You know, Karen Martin said, when everything is a priority, nothing is a priority. Don't let that be you. Step 5, set deadlines and milestones. Deadlines are one of the most critical things that you can do for your business. Even if you have a mission statement for yourself, I am going to buy 10 properties in the first quarter, in the second quarter, whatever. Set that deadline. When are you going to accomplish this by? And the reason why is because you're going to be more inclined to do the things that are required to get it done. When you know what you're working towards, it's way easier for you to be effectively prioritizing the stuff and be motivated to do it. And it also inspires the people around you to know, hey, we didn't get this thing done. You know, I had shared something with Johnny today, and he was like, man, I had never thought about that. And what I was sharing with him is how we can make sure that everybody on the team is always inspired towards achieving the goal, right? We were talking about this. And he goes, I had never thought about it like that. And I shared with him how he can do it and structure it so that everybody can see it. And at the end of the week, Faye can know if we hit the task. I can know if we hit the task. Everybody can know if we've hit that goal. And if we haven't, we can go back and say, okay, I did not do the things that I needed to do to hit this task. What can I do better? If you don't do that, you're going to look back a day, a week, a month, and say, I'm in the same place I was last year. I don't want that for you. I want you to be successful. I want you to do that. When you tend to be more motivated, it's because you directly understand what you need to do and how you need to do it, even if it's a large goal. 6, monitor and revise your action plan. This is one of the things that I started with. Your plan is not going to hit first contact with the enemy. It's not going to be able to last first contact with the enemy. And the reason for that is because things need to change, right? You got to be flexible. Your ability to stay on top of the things that you're doing and adapt and change as things come will make you not only a great project manager, but a great leader. And I want you to be the best leader that you can be. It's crucial that you monitor your progress and adjust as needed, right? Everything isn't going to be great. And, you know, we'll end with this. Winston Churchill once said that if the plan doesn't work, change a plan, not your goal. I don't want you to change your goal. I want you to change your plan. So I'm going to open it up for questions. I don't know if we have time for questions, Faye, but I am here and I think I went over my time.
We do. We got a couple of questions here. So let me see. Okay. Oh, this one is from John. Where's
Okay.
John? I created my LLC. Oh, this is real estate related. Oh, okay. I created my LLC at the end of last year. I'm John. I'm not sure if Johnny will be able to hop in, but
Yep.
he said he will. But anyway, this question is, I created my LLC at the end of last year. It has RE. You want to go ahead and ask it? Where's John?
It doesn't matter. So it says RE Development is the name.
RE Development is the name. I do wholesaling, tax sales acquisitions using it. Do I need to create a different type of LLC for multifamily properties? This is a great question.
Yeah, in my opinion.
Now. All right.
In my opinion, I was gonna say, in my opinion, there's 2 ways that you can do it. You can create one for investing, but the second option is set up a DBA, doing business as. So you can do a business as, and then you can actually do the business as and keep it under the LLC. So when my wife does stuff for marriage, even though that's not my space, she does it under Leadership Legacy, but she does it at doing business as Battle Ready Marriage, right? So we have those DBAs that we filed so that you can do the business in that thing and you're under the LLC. But Johnny, I don't know if you want to answer that, if you have a better answer, because that's kind of what I would do maybe.
Yeah, no, I would say definitely look at, if you get it under contract in your wholesale company name, and then just assigning it and creating a new LLC. just whereas that you don't really commingle, where it's because you want that apartment to stand alone as its own business, have its own
Yep.
checking account. So all the
Yep.
revenue goes in, it'll be clean from the tax perspective. But when
Yep.
you get under contract, you can definitely use your existing LLC, and then you'll just before closing, you'll assign it to a new LLC that you'll have set up with a new EIN number and everything for its tax purposes.
Yeah, you know
And
what?
then
That is a great thing, and I'm glad Johnny brought that up, because when I was doing my business, I actually, even though I said you can do a DBA, I set up legacy investing, legacy investing, because I wanted to have a separate entity because of exactly what Johnny just said. I wanted to make sure that the finances weren't commingled and there wasn't anything kind of like mixed. So that's exactly correct. I'm glad Johnny said that.
Yeah, and sometimes
I have
people
a
do the
follow-up
umbrella.
question to that. Does that mean having a separate LLC for each property?
That's a good question.
So I've heard it both ways. I've heard that you want to have a LLC for each one, and that's just to like have everyone stand alone, so that if somebody was to try to, let's say for example, sue or whatever, that they sue one and not all. And then I've heard you can put it into a trust. But Johnny, I'll default to you on what's the best option.
yeah, no, I think both of those are good solutions, and you could do as much as you feel comfortable for as your risk tolerance. You could do multiple homes, multiple rental properties in one LLC. Just know if something happens, like all that could be tied up together in whatever that LLC owns. But at the same time, if you know you're going to be doing 20 single family houses, if you have 20 LLCs, have to file 20 federal returns and 20 state returns if you're in different states and stuff. It gets expensive and it kind of gets bogged down. But you know, with some of my rentals, like I have 3 or 4 that's in the same LLC, and do deals that way, then have the apartments completely separate in their own thing. So it depends on your risk tolerance, you know, how far you want to spread it out. But at the same time, you want to make sure you get an umbrella insurance policy where you have that additional $1 million of liability coverage that usually just charge you $600-700 for the year, to have that extra insurance and that peace of mind. Just if somebody's going to sue you or something, you'll have a little bit more where everything, if your initial policy is exhausted, then you'll have that umbrella to step in and cover you to up to another $1 million. So
Okay, perfect. And then just one more question as well. Thank you so much for the information on the goal setting. Just a follow-on question, if you find that you are getting close to like the date that you wanted to achieve your goal, Coach Chris, what are some strategies that you use to keep yourselves, you know, still engaged, still motivated, so that you're not starting to have that 5-minute pity party and, you know, wanting to, you know, definitely keep moving forward. And I know certainly being in, you know, Johnny's community and all the great people here that motivate is also helpful, but any other strategies that you would recommend would be fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. So you actually hit the nail right on the head, but I don't know if Johnny does this, but if you want to ask questions, you got to put on your camera. So I'm just kidding. But what I will say is, to answer your question, is I try to make sure that I have a small and tight inner circle that I can trust, so that I can always kind of just vent and share with them what's going on. Hey, look, I'm struggling with this. You know, because if I come to Johnny and I share with him what I'm going through, the first thing that he's gonna do is he's gonna listen, and then he's gonna pause and say, okay, look, I completely understand what you're going through. You're 100% right? But here's what I want you to consider. Here's what I want you to think. And then it gives you a completely different perspective and a fresh take on what you need to do and what you may be able to do to go back and go after those goals. Now, remember, just because you're not reaching those goals, that doesn't mean that you change the goal. You adjust your plan. So let's say, for example, so there's 2 things that I would recommend. If you're getting close to a date that you had set, right, and you're not doing the work, then I want you to look in the mirror and I want you to say, you got to get it together. You said you were going to do this and you didn't. If
Mhm.
I change this date,
Mhm.
am I going to do it? And I talk to myself like that. I don't answer myself, but I talk to myself.
Right.
Right?
No, that's
I'm
pretty
like, hey,
powerful.
if you change this date, are you going to do it? And somebody will walk it 100% of the time. Somebody walks in and they're like, who are you talking to? And I'm like, man, this is so awkward if I tell them I'm talking to myself, but I'm literally just inspiring myself because remember, I'm not immune to this. So I will sometimes be in Christian space and then I go into Coach Chris's space, right? I'll go, if you change this date, what are you going to do differently to accomplish the goal? Am I going to show up to the meetings? Am I going to do the research? Am I going to reach out to Johnny? Am I going to be vulnerable with Faye? What am I doing to now make sure I accomplish that goal? And that's what I'll do. But I do have a community of people that I reach out to, and it's Johnny talked about this before. I have people in different spaces, right? So when it comes to real estate, I have somebody that I go to. If I have somebody, when it comes to coaching, I have somebody that I go to. Just find people that you can trust, that you know that they're not going to tell you what you want to hear, but what you need to hear in love.
Mhm.
Remember, love is the highest frequency. So when people talk to you in love, even if it's convicting, you're like, you know what? You're right. Johnny?
Thank you.
Yeah, you got it.
No, you you hit the nail right on the head.
I guess
What other questions we got?
the simplest thing that I could, follow through on that one is just two things. It would be the am I better than yesterday?
Yeah.
That's the only question you need to ask every day. It doesn't matter how big or how small the goal is, but am I better than yesterday? The moment you wake up, all of us, the moment we wake up, our brain is starting to process 75,000 thoughts. And that's backed by science. The very first hour is the crucial part. What you think on the first hour is going to set the mood of what you're going to do on a day, that entire day.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking about my coworker, my boss, the kids, my wife, you're thinking the same thoughts from yesterday. And that's not going to change this day from yesterday because you're doing it all over again. And the very first thing that you get is you're going to come get your phone, and read everything that you have to read. And you're forgetting, okay, is this something that I really want to do today? We only have 24 hours on a daily basis, all of us equally. And what makes it different is that how we change the way we do today from what we did yesterday, if you wanted to change anything in our lives. It's easier said than done. These boot camp, you're going to find 3, 4, 5, 10, 100 more boot camps somewhere out there on the internet. And probably be talking about the same thing. But what you do after this is what's going to make it different.
Can I add to that?
Thank you.
Yes, sure.
So you can go and find, let's say 100 more like boot camps. None of that will give you the community that you have here. None of that will give you the support that you have here. And I 100% believe that with all conviction. The support that you get here, the community that you have here, you're not going to get anywhere else. Because when you go somewhere else, you know what people are doing? They look at you as a dollar sign. They say, "Ooh, this person is in real estate." They know they're going to have to pay. And all they're looking at is to try to get your money. That's not what you get here. You get a family. You get a leader that wants to just really make sure that you're successful. So he's putting all of these guardrails up for you to be successful. All you got to do is show up. All we're asking you to do is show up. And everything else will fall into place. You don't have to know the how. Just set it. Let's go. I see a question in here that says, how would you do something like that? So I think it was talking about buying a 22 unit, right? I see a 17 unit for $1 million. but the rents don't make it worth it, and it would be a loss. Now, that's exactly the position that I was in with Johnny. So I'm going to default to him, but I would say you either negotiate the price down or figure out how to raise the rent. But if it's not worth it, then I wouldn't buy $1 million deal if the unit doesn't produce the income that you need. Right, Johnny, I'll default to you.
Yeah, no, 100%. You need to just verify if it's not worth $1 million today, but if you're able to increase the rents in the future, and now you need to look and see, hey, what is it going to be worth in the future if we can bring the rents up $300, $400, or whatever it may be. So yeah, you definitely want to go through the process and understand all the details of the deal to qualify whether or not, is $1 million the right price? Because if you got to go in and do $1 million of renovations, then it may not be. But yeah, so you want to look at the renovations that's needed, and then where the future market rents will where they actually will lie, and then now that's going to give you a good basis to kind of see what that future value could be for the property.
That's exactly what Johnny did for me, because I told you guys that the deal was not a good deal, and they were like asking double what it was worth because they hadn't raised their rents, they hadn't renovated, like they didn't do everything that they, in their mind, they were already at the goal, right? But they hadn't done anything. So you gotta see what you can negotiate in that deal and make sure that it's worth it, because you don't want to set yourself up for failure. Because if you present that deal to, let's say for example, you present that deal to Johnny, he would probably tell you, hey, I like you, but we're not going to do this deal because the money doesn't make sense. Right. And that's what any investor will do. So if you're going to present it to a friend, a family, it doesn't matter who you're presenting it to. It has to make financial sense. Right. Like, I'm not going to give you money to lose money. That's not what we want. But I see the ambition and I see what you're trying to do. So if you can get the numbers and look the numbers and work it with Johnny and Faye, they will help you kind of like have a strategy to make that deal work. And you probably pay half. I'm not saying paying half, right? Disclaimer. We're not going to cut your deals in half. Disclaimer. We're not saying what's going to happen. I'm just, hypothetical. They'll help you understand the numbers. They'll help you understand what would be a good deal and what you should potentially present as a counter offer. That way you don't set yourself up for failure.
Yep. And one of the things that's kind of counterintuitive that you don't think about is sometimes it's okay to overpay for the property with the right terms.
Yeah.
Because maybe you can pay $1 million if they're going to finance it for you for 30 years at 2% interest.
Yeah. Wow. See,
so
2%
now
you can't beat.
Right. Yeah. If I can get 100% financing at a 2% interest rate, I'll pay $1 million for it, because guess what? I'll have low payments and I can go raise the money I need to make the renovations to raise the value. And now I can get into that deal and control that deal with no money out of pocket.
See, man, brilliant. I'm just telling you, man, you ain't gonna get a community like this. I promise you, you ain't. So let's talk about next steps, guys. What are y'all ready to do? Y'all ready to do this thing or what? We're ready to get these deals done. I'm looking at y'all and I'm excited that you guys give me the opportunity to speak.
I enjoyed it, brother. I enjoyed this one. Yeah, it gives me hope, because I jumped in not knowing exactly what you need for a multifamily. I knew one thing. I knew you need some money, but I didn't know how to get the money. Now I'm figuring out I'm not scared to ask for money anymore.
Yeah.
So
and Johnny really, like, he will share everything and his heart with you. And on one of the deals that I was actually looking at, he literally gave me an idea that I hadn't thought about. I reached out to the person. I was like, hey, would you be interested in owner financing? And they're like, what is that? And I said, well, you finance the deal, I pay you basically, and we agree to the terms, we write out the contract. And then, once I get to a point that I can, finance, I can buy the rest, pay the rest, right? Mm-hmm. They were all about it. And what I did that was actually funny is I was like, I didn't ask them about the interest rate. Like, I didn't really bring that up. And what was cool is that they didn't actually charge me any interest rate on the deal. So, I leveraged the deal because I didn't say, hey, I'm gonna give you 6% on the deal. I didn't put my foot in there and say, I'm gonna give you 6% on the deal. I just said, hey, you know, have you considered owner financing? And, you know, and they're like, what is that? Here's what it means. You know, I will pay you. Here's what will happen. And it worked out in my favor. And I was like, man, I would have never gotten that deal had I not asked Johnny what are his thoughts on the property. And he was like,
Right.
have you thought about owner financing? Right. Like, so there's ways that you can, again, not bring money out of pocket and just go into a deal and make it work out.
Excellent, man.
Turn that cigar sack. That car is
Yeah.
I'm at work, bro. I'm sorry. I got to.
Oh, no, you're good. Hey, you're committed. I see
this
you
is
every
one
night.
Yeah, this is one of my cash flow things. I work 2 jobs. I said, I'm going to save up some money. So when I'm ready to make a move, I got some money, something to come to the table with, you know?
Let's
I'm out
go.
here. Yeah, I'm ready. Faye's a great teacher too. He's perfect for me.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man, like this community, like you're not gonna. So I'll tell you this. I shared this earlier, but there's only 2 communities that I love being a part of. This one and mine. That's it. Like all the other ones, it's weird, man. Like it's just funny how people do stuff, and you know, you see people's intentions and people's motives, and you know, like I will tell you this. One of the things that I realized is that I want to be like extremely clear with my motives and my intentions, because you know, my motives is to see you win. My intentions is to do the absolute best that I can, but I also am very clear that I can't do it for free, right? Because if I do it for free, then that means that I can't support my family. So I am very clear with that, and I want to make sure that you guys understand that, like, you're going to go into these deals and you're going to have to pay, right? And in order to continue to grow, you're going to have to, you know, invest in yourself, because the greatest thing that you can do is invest in you. Like nothing else will replace that. Investing in you, whoo, you get 20, 100, you know, 500% return when you invest in you. You know, I wouldn't be here had I not invested in myself.
Right. Yeah, I believe that. I know I'm investing in. I'm going to do a deep dive in fundraising for capital, and that right there. After the last night, Johnny was talking about, you know, raising capital. I just said, I got to find out, man. I got to dig deeper. And I found out so many things out there, and they just make it so simple. Basically, putting your deal together. It's like going fishing. You got to know what the fish want to bite.
Yeah.
You know.
There you go.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Perfect lead, man, because we're gonna dive into it. We're gonna dive into it tomorrow. Tomorrow's money night.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh man.
Yep. Tomorrow's money night.
Friday night. Yeah, man. Yeah.
All right, you guys
I wanted to say something because
Friday already?
if I could.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
There was somebody earlier who asked, what do you use for constant motivation? And, Faye, you said something about when you wake up, you have all these thoughts in your head.
Yes.
About 2.5 years ago, something happened and I had to change the way I thought when I woke up in the morning. The first thing I think of now, and it's habit now, it's just automatic. I wake up and it's boom. And that one thing is, what am I grateful for?
Yeah.
And what am I grateful for is my health and the people that I love are healthy. And it's a beautiful day. And my kids, that is my why. That is what motivates me. Like you have no other. When I look into the light in the eyes of my children, that is what drives me to wake up a little, like you were saying, wake up 1 hour earlier. And I've been doing that. And I've been every half an hour of my day for work, I've been crunching. So every half an hour is now segmented. So I have some morning time and I have some afternoon time. But if you think of your gratefulness that you have when you wake up, first thing, it sets the day.
Yeah.
And that for me is my why. That's my kids. And that's looking 20 years from now, big picture, long term, what that's going to look like for me. At least that's how I feel. And that I just got goosebumps, like
just talking about it.
Yeah.
It's for sure. That's all what it is. There are 2 types of motivations. One, if you're here just because of money, that's the lowest type of motivation.
Yeah,
But
that's
if
Mm.
you're here
extrinsic.
for a purpose, that's the highest type of motivation. And we're here to help you out on that, on how you can shift from that lowest point of motivation to the highest point of motivation to keep you going. Because just like what Leslie said, or I think everyone encountered here, is that the moment you decided you wanted to become successful, well, hey, the challenges are already in the door waiting for you. Like, oh yeah, I've been here.
Mhm.
I'm here waiting for you to make that decision. Come on, let's do
Yeah.
it. Right? So it's all up to you.
X.
It's all up to you.
Hey,
It's
so
all
I
up to
just shared in the comments. If
Love
you guys get an
it.
opportunity, go and listen to the song. I encourage you to listen to the song. It's called Good Day by Forrest Frank. That
Forrest
song will get you fired up. If nothing else will, that song will get you fired up. And it's really just talking about what Chris just said, just gratitude, right? And Faye talked about it. A lot of people are extrinsically motivated, which is why they struggle. They let outside things inspire them, and that's not what you want. If you tap into what Chris said, you get internally motivated because you know what's important to you, right? You know what fires you up. Every time, so I talk to Johnny probably at a minimum like 10 times a week. Like it's like my wife is like, hey, this guy, I like him, but you talk to him a lot, right? I was like, hey, that's my guy. And so, but every time I talk to Johnny, undoubtedly something comes up every time. Family. Hey, I'm going to, soccer with the kids. Hey, taking the family here. Because that's important to him. So he always wants to be present. He always wants to be there for them, which is why he does what he does, right? And so I challenge you guys to think about that. Like, if you're motivated, like, money is good, but it's not the best motivator, right? I am so inspired by being able to just speak into people. Like I told you guys before, like if it was only one person on this, I was showing up and I was going like do what I got to do. Hopefully I delivered tonight. Hopefully I was able to help you guys and give you guys something that you can walk away with and just implement right away. But my inspiration behind that was I really wanted to see every single one of you be successful, because that's what this is all about. Walking alongside Johnny, man, like I haven't seen people with heart like that. And it's encouraging, it's inspiring. And it's why I talk to him so much, because I want to be around people that value people, want to invest in people, and want to see people win. Like there's not a lot of people like that. So I encourage you to get you a coach, right? Join this community and make sure that you position yourself strategically and intentionally to win.
Yeah, no, great job, Coach Christian. I was able to by the time we landed, I missed probably about the first 15, 20 minutes. But I think the biggest thing that stood out to me that, just saying that, you can be successful if nobody believes in you, but you'll never be successful if you don't believe in yourself. And I think that's it. That's so powerful. So I really appreciate you. I already knew you were gonna crush it, man, and you go do a great job. I already knew. I know they may not have known, but no, I knew. So I definitely appreciate you stepping up and doing that. And I've been on the road. I've been up since 3:30 this morning and had a day trip to Atlanta with my coach, well, with one of the mastermind groups that I'm in, to go down for a 1-day event. So went in and did that and just got back home here not too long ago. And but that's the thing that you got to do, is that you got to invest in yourself. You got to make sacrifices, because success is not convenient. It requires sacrifice more than you probably want to sacrifice, but it's worth it. It's worth it to be able to pay the cost today so you can pay any cost in the future. So yeah, salute to Coach Chris. That's what he goes by. And that's the thing, like you talk about their persona and everything, and you have to do it, and it's part of your growth, and just you being able to coach yourself and motivate yourself and to lock in on what's important for you, and you step up and be who you need to be the best CEO of your last name. So that's what it's all about with everything that we're doing. Super grateful for everybody that showed up tonight, for Coach Chris for showing out tonight. And tomorrow we're going to be talking about the money. We're going to be getting to the money. We're going to be talking about how to become a great steward and fiduciary of your capital, but then also of other people's capital. Because I'll tell you, the most humbling feeling is someone investing their hard-earned capital in with you and having faith and trust and dependency on you to execute and do a deal and to lead the project. And so that's the thing, that showing ourselves approved and getting the information is like, now we're able to show and share these opportunities with these investments with other people. Whereas that now, because we're here and we got the right information, we can move out and we can look someone in the eyes and say, hey, yep, this is the return. This is what we're going to do. And guess what? If things change along the way, we're going to be right here step for step. And we're gonna see it to the end, see it through. And so that's what it's all about. So we're gonna be talking about the money. Make sure you show up. It's gonna be worthwhile on Friday night, and definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, and if you guys wanted any confirmation, read Johnny's shirt. We talked about persona, right? The military CEO. I mean, he turns into that when he shows up, right?
Yeah.
We all need to do it.
For sure. All right, that's it, Faye. Anything else?
Oh,
You're
thank you
muted.
so much, everyone, for tonight. And don't forget to join tomorrow, because that's gonna make, everything that we talked about this week. So raising capital, money and everything, that's gonna be the kicker for everything. All right, you have a good night, and thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you. Thanks, Coach Krish.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're the best. All right, so I mispronounced.
All right, everybody.
Have a great one. Thanks, Johnny. Good night.
Yeah. Good night.